There we go. Echo, echo. Let me make sure the audio is working. For all I know. Yada yada blah blah. Discord, I'm pretty sure that's another thing. Hi guys, so I'm back. It's Saturday. I'm having coffee. I had some food. Had a really good slice of pizza. I'm wondering if it could have been made better with anchovies, but I don't even care now. Anchovies are a good pizza topping. I don't know what's wrong with. What have you done, by the way? I saw someone say carrots. What have you done? Like pineapples. Okay, I like once you get the carrots, I take exception to that. Okay, that's all. That's all. Mm, call me what you will. So let me see. Let me see. Mm. Yeah, see, I can. I have. You heard me, right? Okay. So now Rose. Let me. Because now I'm like totally. Let's see. How's screen capture going? Because if we don't have that, that's gonna make things a bit hard. Ooh. Boop, boop, boop. Now I gotta check. Screen capture, just in case. La la la. I guess it doesn't capture the whole thing, but do I care? I'll just have to remember exactly kind of the dimensions. The dimensions are sort of. Oh, they're the dimensions of the Kotor screen. That's not crazy, that's fine. Okay, so now we are going to decide. Zoom, Facebook. Oh, so long as your face is on the screen. So, who is Rose Ripa? Rose Ripa runs Active Articulations. Sorry, Active Articulation. She's also the VP of Diacoin. Um, do do do. Sorry, and now I'm watching this up. Um, because I gotta memorize the dimensions of the screen so that when she comes on, yeah, you get some good. Anyway, what I got. Yeah, that's pretty good, I think. So, and Rose responded, Zoom, okay, Zoom it is. I was hoping for Zoom. Not that I have any soft spot for Zoom, to be honest with you. Sorry, guys, excuse me. New meeting on the Zoom machine. I gotta tell it to start video. Really? So hold on. OBS. So let me see something. Goodbye. Oh, see? No, it doesn't work. But this should work. Let me see. What irritation. So how will I? Well, actually, no, because there's always this, isn't there? Like literally, can always delete this, can I? And then see, now it works. And now you can't hear me, right? But if I move this like right over here, that should work. See that? Hilarious. Okay. Ta-da, ta-da, ta-da. And ta-da. Hilarious. Why does that work? So, oh no, I'm clicking. Okay. Oh no, I did measure it on this one the first time. Sorry guys, I'm having to. Okay, let me turn that off because the the white noise bells are driving me insane. I don't know if you could hear them. Anyway, so now I'm going to send Rose this thing that I should have been prepared to send immediately. Participants, okay, invite, okay. Why is there a passcode? I don't understand why it feels the need to disable itself. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, guys. Rose, okay. And my phone's about to die as well because she got it. Alright. She said 1 sec. That is pretty much the best response we could have. Oh no, and well, actually, this is a pretty good microphone. Thank God it doesn't have too much of a move it a little bit. Okay, okay, okay. Surprised I got that quick, but I did. Emergency alert! National Weather Service. Snow squall warning until 3:45 Eastern Standard Time. That is pretty New Yorkie news. Yeah, it's snowing today, but it's not sticking. It's very New Yorkie. Um, Slow down or delay travel because there is a snow squall. Be ready for a sudden drop to near zero visibility, icy roads, and heavy snow. So, that sounds entertaining. Um, Glad I'm not going to be in that. Let's be honest. Wait, is that? Okay, good. I'm glad. I invited Miguel to one of these things, and he was in like the waiting room, and it was only for like 10 seconds. I'm like, why? Why is there even what is even that for? I don't know. I guess it makes sense. Like the more corporate nonsense you deal with, the more you're gonna need that. Sorry, I just had, like I said, what I have. I have pepperoni, green pepper, onion, and mushroom slice. And like I said, if they had anchovies on it, that would have been perfect. But we all have our tastes. There was corn on that same list. Carrots as a pizza topping, and there was corn. What's funny is I've seen corn as a pizza topping in the Mediterranean. They'll put eggs. You haven't seen it? Pineapple is still something, but pineapple is just not really something we have. In fact, you know tomato sauce? Tomato sauce really isn't that like Italian. It's like absurd to Americans. But really, it's kind of a new Italian thing. I'm not Italian, by the way, but Malta's really close to Italy. I mean, we love tomatoes, but it's more of a newer phenomenon. Phenomenon. So, if anything, while this is going on, I should get on spreading said news into Newsland. Literally, what I should do. Let me see something. What happens when I. Sorry, guys, because anyway, I think you saw. Hmm. Anyway, I'm not trying to bother with this very much right now. It's working, and that's fine. Um, is Rose in my waiting room? No, and I'm glad. It is okay for her to be late, and now I'm going to be spreading the news that I'm streaming with the rest of the people, I suppose. So, oh yeah. Oh dear. Yes. Sorry, guys. Anyway, and what's there to talk about? There's snow. The city is sort of in an in-between place. The city is sort of what it looks like. Like like someone that's got a very controlling person trying to treat them like a child and getting frustrated, very frustrated when they don't act like a child. Um, and they act like they know better. And like being like, but look, I represent you, and you're stupid, and you're sick, and you need this help. And really, like, that's only gone on so long because people are just sort of avoiding it because, you know, people don't really want to start confrontations, let's say. And it's perfectly reasonable. Because you care about the results anyway. Uh, I don't mind. I don't mind. Like, what are you gonna do? It's like weather, isn't it? So I'm just going through my pages and well, not my page. This isn't my page, but let's see. Let's see if I don't get immediately. Oh, Rose is in the waiting room. Well, let me handle the what's the word? The ones that matter. Coffee with Rose live and uncensored for the community. You can't see me. Sorry, guys. Um, of course I'm gonna admit you. Just give me one more second because I want to give you full attention and not just. In fact, I gotta pin that to the top because if I don't pin it to the top, then I'm wasting my power. Wait, what? Manage Chris? I am Chris. Wait, edit post, slow down. do, 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 do. Guys, guys, I want to please. Why is that a problem? And Rose now is waiting for me. Wait, see all? Why is see all even an option? Why wouldn't you just wait? Like, let me see all. Edit, delete, slow down, slow down. Wow. Pin to feature. Thank you. Sorry, guys. Now you see my unlimited powers. All right, and what's left? Okay, Rafi, Rafi. You want some Rafi? Hmm? Um, what's going on? I've lost my mind. Isn't it like right there? Yeah, see? No, no, no. I've definitely lost my mind. Coffee. I see she's messaging me. Waiting. I know, I see. I'm sorry. Rose. Um, trust. Okay, okay. And admit. I know, of course. What? Joining. Okay, she's joining. The joining is taking place.
Hey,
Hello.
what's up? Hold on a sec.
Thank God. Alright, and let me put myself to the side. I think. Doesn't happen. No. Maybe. I don't know. That's how used to Zoom I am. Hello, Rose. I was telling them about who you are, and I
Uh-huh.
just I just posted us on both the groups. I should pin it to the top of the cryptocurrency group. Zoo, 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 zoo. But this is the beautiful Rosalie Ripa. Um, it's good to see you again. It's always great to see you. Um, I know you already had a busy day. Um, it's snowing here. What's going on over there?
It's nice. It's sure. Haven't
Hmm.
spring, so maybe look better.
Do you have a microphone? Because it'd be better, I think. Cool, perfect, perfect. Sorry, because I didn't hear you very well.
There's a reason for that because it was behind my computer.
Gotcha. It happens to the best of us. Um, yeah. So, I know that you've got Gaia Coin going on. I know that you have, well, you have active articulation. And I just wanted to ask you about some of your experiences, essentially, and what you're doing now, and what's going on from your perspective.
Okay. So, quick question though: Are we recording?
Yes, we're recording. Well, we're live. We are live, literally.
That it says recording. That's why I'm asking.
Oh yeah, it's recorded. Yeah.
Cool. So, Diapoint has been an interesting project. I'm the VP, focusing on public relations, connections, partnerships, things of that nature. And the executive director is Curtis, and he was the one who kind of created the concept, but we both fleshed it out. we are in the process of just doing crypto conversions for anyone who wants to be a part of this world. So if you take fiat, you also take crypto, and we can help with that. Um,
Nice.
we are trying to create platforms for the micro investor for an wide array of things. We are on Polygon Matic. We wanted to be on the Kadena blockchain, but Polygon Matic is wonderful as well. It's interesting, this whole crypto stuff. So we have an ecosystem and we want to have more and more of our clients on our ecosystem. And I have such a wide array of clients. So I kind of know where the gaps lie and I guess most people's understanding of how it is. So like I got a call today in the morning about one of our clients saying, "Oh my God, there's so many wallets," and she's waiting for her funding to come in, and not having so many wallets is being on all these exchanges.
Mm.
So even the jargon over there needs to be corrected. And then, I explained to her how she could get, let's say, Kadena, because she wanted Kadena, and some other cryptos that I recommended to her, and how to set it up and things of that nature. But I think the most important thing is provide people with, a basis of education. We had another client who just sadly didn't facilitate that transaction, but they kept asking us if we know blockchain, if we know blockchain. So it took me like 2 seconds to be like, oh, they're not talking about like if we know how to work on the blockchain. No, no, they're asking us if we know a company called blockchain. That's their your face. No, yeah, it's because they're not acclimated to it, and we sadly didn't end up getting that particular gig. But that's
Yeah.
I know I know that we are a solid coin. I know that we can help facilitate any sort of education and conversion. And I also know that between my network and myself, we would ensure that nobody is getting scammed. Like I have my two big groups, right? One of them, and so we used to have over 200,000 people, and we got rid of so many scammers and so many people just not posting the proper information. So we're probably at the 180K range, and the crypto group is growing so quickly. I think we're at 40K at this point, and
Mm.
it's important to kind of sustain and substantiate a community that wants to provide education, wants to provide good resources and utility, and lastly, um, for people to use these as a resource. And that's where I come in, whether it's crypto conversions and then spearheading the operation with active articulation. It's a great business model.
You're also the most important part of what's happening now. Like what's happening now is crypto is being integrated into the system. Basically, fiat currency has worked in such a way where it can't um, fulfill all the needs of society for currency. And meanwhile, cryptocurrency can do that and more, much, much more. And people just don't sort of know how that works yet. And we're grateful that they don't know because we get to tell them and kind of help them get on board. And that's good work. That's paying work.
um,
Hmm.
well, a lot of the questions that I get is, well, why would I put my money in crypto? Why do you think this is the future? And you don't have to listen to me. I don't claim to be an expert in crypto. I just know, I'm an expert in my field, and that's kind of gathering the proper metrics and
Hmm.
applying the proper metrics that are absolutely necessary to give you some sort of result. And hopefully that result is the revenue producing reality. But here, let's take the advantages of crypto. Let's look at the modern day news cycle. So I think everyone at this point knows what's happening with the truckers, right?
Oh, I hope so. I really do. I really hope so. You never know what people think.
Well, just to recap it, people who want to exercise their rights, um, in this case, truckers in Canada, right? They have a whole convoy, and Castro Trudeau, oh, I'm sorry, Justin Trudeau, uh, decided that people were definitely not going to exercise their right to um, to protest, and he cut off all.
Yeah,
So people were not able to transact, just not even able to get like a bottle of water or snacks or food with a credit card. And let's go into bigger purchases like gas. That's absolutely necessary. So they employed all these hackers to say, oh, I know where this comes from and where that comes from. The government has every bit of information on you. But, but why not make it harder for them? And that's what I think crypto does, and that's why I'm a big fan. I like to conduct all of my affairs in private. What I do with my friends, what I do with my family, you know what I mean? I don't like to broadcast that. That's just not who I am. So why should and I don't
well,
know
it's your right, isn't it? And
exactly.
I don't think it's actually in everyone's best interest that we know everything about everyone else. I don't think it's actually uh, healthy.
Right, right. Absolutely not. So why does the government need to know my minuscule
They
transaction?
don't. They don't.
Exactly.
They
So
want your money.
crypto helps with that.
Yes.
Uh,
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
and
Is that okay? Yeah. Continue. Exactly.
artists. So we've seen all of these real estate transactions in the past. I mean, media loved to highlight what happened with Donald Trump, even though that was in a way overblown. But the reality is, people lose their investments, especially when it comes to real estate, because in the past, even though it was with a quote unquote bank, um, people were able to take that money and run. With crypto, you can have an escrow that is controlled by both parties, um, and these funds can't be touched unless everyone, let's say, utilizes a voting token and then moves these funds. So the likelihood of being scammed is not greater; it is decreased.
It's actually much less. Exactly. Like the way to be scammed would be if it's not a good crypto, if I understand correctly.
Right, like tools. But that's different. That's that's you just investing into a shit coin.
Yeah. You know what I need to do? One second. Sorry. Okay. Speak.
Speaking,
One second.
speak.
See, I feel like now I feel like I know what to do.
What happened?
Not much, but I can hear you better if I just go because I'm listening to you on my headset. Wait, say it one more time. Oh, see.
Is it better?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Sorry, it's and my phone is so much. Oh, technology screws with me. Gross. Remember instant messenger? Anyway.
Yeah, the good old days.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. I just want to make sure this goes well. And now
One.
I can hear you better. Like when I originally set up this stream, okay? So this what happened. So I set up the stream, right? Everything's going fine. I'm like, okay, so I'll just add the screen capture to this OBS, the streaming software, and I'll be good, because I'll do the Zoom. Okay, la la la. But this camera was already being used by the streaming software, so the Zoom software didn't have a camera to use. So I'm like, okay, fine. And then and that was just one problem. Then I realized, like, okay, the audio, does it even know how the audio works? Because I'm listening to you through a headset, and I'm relying on this thing to be more intelligent than maybe it is. That's one of the things I'm happy about cryptocurrency about. So, for instance, we really take care of our money, right? Money, things don't, unless you're really like something is going really badly. And hello, Marvin. Thank you for the help. Marvin just told us on YouTube that our audio is fine. Thank you so much, Marvin. It could be better. I believe you. Thanks. All right. So, what am I saying? So people really pay attention to how their money is organized and what type of money it is. And cryptocurrency, because it branches into not just being money, such as property, the way property does, it actually makes it so technology is going to be streamlined in ways that I kind of gave up on about 10 years ago when they went from XP to what was it, Windows 10 or something. But it was just it started getting faster and it started getting a little more complicated, and I was like, oh, this is a trick. I see. But with crypto, because there's going to be a whole boom and bust, it's kind of a whole infinite boom and bust. So I'm kind of looking forward to future technology.
Well, here's the problem with Windows XP versus crypto. Don't get me wrong. There are a ton of rug pulls. There are there's a lot of exposure for that on Twitter, and bless those people, and I love those people. Like I've reviewed, some ledgers, and again, it's small, but if I don't see, certain components, I will not let them advertise in the groups, and I just, in good faith, can't go forward with it, right? Because
yeah, thank you for saying that.
right, because I do believe that integrity is paramount to building relationships, right? I don't have anything of bullshit to sell. People who do, I have a huge problem with. So, in order to break a certain cycle, you have to you have to retaliate against it, which is what I do.
Yeah, you sort of have no choice, right? Like, what choice do you have?
But back to the point of like Windows XP. So when you were dealing with Windows XP, the problem is there was a monopoly on, what type of Windows software you can use, because you have Windows and you have Apple computers, and there's really nothing in between. Now with crypto, yeah, you have to do your own due diligence and blah, 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 and I get that. But you have a market that has people who want to buy. At this point in 2022, you can't really just be a bullshit crypto and say, invest in me, because people have been burned and they're now a lot more apprehensive. So the important part is now providing a coin with some value instead of, just a shit coin, and having it trade and then create a pump and dump situation, which is, not a good idea.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, yeah, I'm glad you said that. Because that's the truth, and I'm saying that all the time.
Right.
Yeah, and that's the. You're right. This is the portion of the market that we're at right now, and I think it's more true what you just said in Texas, whereas in New York, I'm not sure how well versed everyone is. I think it was more sort of human static for a lot of people to get through in New York, and a lot more con artistry for them, so they expect the worst. So it's weird.
I don't know if I agree with that assessment. There's, I think, an equal percentage of people who are clueless. Hey, I'm clueless too. I don't know where this will lead. I don't know if it's going to lead us to a death trap, which it very well might. And I don't know if this is the revolution, the peaceful and quiet revolution that Bitcoin started. We don't know. Time will tell. But like everything, when it comes to investment, and this is what people don't understand, it's a risk-reward ratio.
Yeah.
nothing is guaranteed in life, right? Like people go to the casino, they know that if they spend $500, they might get 5 times, right, their net return, or they might lose everything. So they still do it. This is just another type of investment.
People are afraid of this crypto czar, right? But they know what I'm talking about. Biden just anointed a crypto czar.
Yeah,
I,
nothing new.
I suppose I am too, but it sounds like they know that this is probably going to be the best way of getting taxes. You know, like what I'm saying is they didn't outlaw it. They could have just done that, right? Literally, they could have tried that. Well, they're not afraid to look terrible when certain things happen, as we see in Canada. Um, so it sounds like they're aware that if we are to continue to be a first world nation, especially with them shutting down like once a year or something for nothing, 90% of the metropolitan areas, uh, we would need some some form of free market digital economy. Um, and thank God they noticed. Thank God they noticed at some point. But yeah, I'm not afraid of this dude. It sounds like if you need a person in charge of that, I mean, that means you have something complicated. Making outlawing it isn't that complicated. That's a real simple.
Yeah, I mean, like we all know that government is largely incompetent,
Yes.
but for incompetence and malice, it will look bad. But silver lining in this is there's enough people that are transitioning their money into this cryptocurrency. Like, don't get me wrong, I really like cash, right? You pay for something and I don't have the money, I'll pay you in cash because no one needs to, see our Venmo accounts and be like, okay, well, Chris got Rose dinner and Rose paid him, $10 for the falafel sandwich.
Yeah, it is creepy to know that someone going through that. Like,
no, I mean, again, I really value privacy, but since we are leaving that era, the next best thing is, um, blockchain.
Yes.
and if and if everyone is using it, right? Here's the thing. One of my NFT frameworks, and this is definitely something I'd like to touch on. I like art and I like museums, and this is a person, I'm a person who.
You have to pick one. You have to pick attractive or intelligent and deep. You can't do both.
NFTs, just the art.
Sorry.
It's bullshit. I mean, it's a money laundering scheme, and I don't care if it's.
What is? Sorry.
NFTs for the most part, in regards to
for the most part, not the concept itself.
Right. Right. Okay. So the way it's done, right? I know that everyone knows that Melania created and sold.
I don't know this. Tell me.
Oh, really? Okay. So I don't know the price. So we're gonna just set an arbitrary number. So Melania mints and creates an NFT, well, her team does, right? And it sells for an exorbitant amount. Let's just say $1 million. I don't think it was that much, but it was a high number. Like any number over 20, by the way, which to me is a high number. She has, there's just no utility in it. But anyway, so let's say it sold for $1 million. And people are like, oh my God, NFTs, look at that. It's the future. Ah! And then, right? And then we have good people who found out who purchased Melania's NFT. And do you know who purchased Melania's NFT? Take a wild guess. Her own fucking foundation.
Oh my fucking God, that's pathetic. Wasn't even.
So remember a few months ago when we were speaking, right? And I'm like, oh, well, the entire art market, for the most part, has been a money laundering scheme by CIA, right? And I said, well, NFTs have all the propensity to go here. And as a matter of fact, they think most value generated on the bigger markets is exactly that. And this proved it, right?
I think you did probably tell me about that already.
I mean, we have so
you probably told me the whole thing.
Right. So here's the thing. I don't want people to be disengaged with NFTs
Yeah.
because while NFTs and artwork, for the most part, just like, for example, here, right? So this is my screen, right? It's an old school French tarot card. This doesn't need to be an NFT, right?
Because it's just a picture.
Right. It's a pretty picture. It's gorgeous. I love it, you know. But this is all that it needs to be. Now, there was some sort of whatever significance to it, right? Like, for example, David's painting of Napoleon, which I'll utilize as the core, I don't know, artwork in this example. NFTs can be supplied in addition to a tangible artwork, right? So if you can track the NFT through blockchain with the tangible artwork, you know, the one that has historical significance because Napoleon was amazing, you know, and neoclassical artists like David are amazing, you have proof, right? Like we like to call proof of stake in crypto, but you have proof of actuality. So you have less people attempting or conning others with replicas and fakes, and everything can be embedded in the, you know, in the blockchain itself. And then we can go further and we can speak about NFT frameworks in the legal profession, in the medical profession, in the real estate profession. And I'm available to anyone who's interested in this. And, you know, between Active Articulation Gaia Coin, we can certainly facilitate this. This is where I think the future of NFTs lies. And that's in the potentiality of the frameworks. Like, let me just give you another example. Have you ever purchased a house? Well, I know you have a house in Malta or property in Malta, but when you guys sell, do you need to have like a survey and a deed and, you know?
Yeah, of course, this whole nonsense. It's so
right, and I know that you particularly had a headache dealing with this. So now imagine you, owner of this property, have an NFT of your survey, which means you don't have to go to the government and you don't need to pay $800. That's how much like a survey in the United States is. I don't know how much it is over there, but it is all in Chris's blockchain. It's all in Chris's wallet. You don't have to be like, okay, I'm gonna go here and
that's what people don't get.
It's all on your wallet and it's accessible. And you know, I get it, privacy, security concerns, right? With new modern problems, you need to have, you know, different innovations, and I get it. But you cannot argue for the convenience factor within that alone. So
I don't even get the like. Okay, so the problem I'm seeing, right, is that people don't seem to. Not don't seem to. People don't have a tool with which to judge who the con artists are and who really knows what they're talking about and cares and is reliable. Meanwhile, when you hear about the real capabilities of crypto, like let's say Web 3.0, you know, the whole crypto diaspora, when you hear it, it's a win-win, honestly, because that whole all people don't know that applies to crypto too. Like, if you don't get me wrong, I know that my phone is a huge security risk, essentially, right? There's a lot in my phone. Like half my life is in my phone. But you know how hard it is to learn how to, you know, hack into a phone, and then when you're in there, you gotta go through everything. What are you looking for? What's going on? And like you said, there are these solutions. So if I'm ever like, oh, a target, it's like, oh, and then I got this, and it was over. You know, don't get me wrong, I'm really not the expert, but
right.
You hear me? Where I think.
I have pleasure.
Yeah, exactly. Your whole life is in this little thing. Um, yeah, I feel like people are more just afraid of being conned, and it's perfectly reasonable because it sounds way too good to be true. But what people don't understand is that if they don't get on board quickly, they're missing out on like a huge portion because we're still early on in it. That, like you said, it's a risk reward system. So that's part of why I'm doing this, you know, because you are beautiful and intelligent, but you're also a human being, and people need to see that because con artists all try to look like something. you know,
Right.
and this is going to come out, this is very human, this is great, and they need to know, like, oh, this is basically a banker. You know, you go to the bank and they look well put together because that's a professional. It's not, oh, Skrillex trying to give you his new beat or whatever it is, someone handing out a mixtape. Because people, and I've seen it too, like you said, a lot of NFTs nowadays, and you didn't say a lot. You said NFTs were basically, how did you say it? It was just, you said garbage? Um,
Bullshit.
Bullshit. There we go. She said it was bullshit. You know, and I'm about to, like, I'm basically in NFTs now, and I need to learn a bit more about the community I'm working with right now. However, what I'm saying is, yeah, a lot of I've unfortunately seen more bullshit NFTs now. All of a sudden, literally, because I've looked at all of these bears that I'm working with now. My bad, sorry. Um, yeah, I've seen more good NFTs now than bad ones, but that's a new phenomena that I just went through like in the last 2 weeks. And he's not a big community. That's the odd thing. So I've seen a lot of bullshit,
Why is it?
and the
Why is it
bullshit's everywhere. They give you bullshit for free, yo, free bullshit, la la la. And this guy's got solid like connections. His NFTs are solid as hell. And
not?
huh?
So let's just let's just think about the following, right?
Cool.
So we have modern art, right, and worker, right? Like we've been to the MoMA, right? So anyone who's tuning in, Chris is a very good friend of mine. He's not just a fellow business associate; he's a good friend of mine. So
I'm a very lucky person. That's why.
it's a great friend. So how many times have we passed by the MoMA store in Lincoln Center and seen the useless clap track, right? And that they're advertising, and the advertisements, for their useless, literally China shit is how much it's between like 60 to I don't know $500, and that's just the gift shop. The actual cost of a lot of this modern art is astronomical, and there is no value in it. And again, like I said, the government invented the modern art market, and anything that is mainstream, right? So think of the latest musical act of today's day and era. There's no skill associated with it. I'm sorry, I can spit words that are nonsense too, not a skill associated with it. So anything pushed is cheap and is an easy sell. So the platform and the group you're working with, the reason he doesn't have a large audience is because he's not fueled by an awful technocrat.
That's
And
100%. That's exactly what he is. He is like he was trying to do a school before. I think the lockdown. Not I think he told me the lockdown really screwed up what he was doing before, and he's helping people now. So it's like, oh wow, good job, you know. And he was in tech before, but it was educational tech. And when he explained to me, like I said, the ins and outs, the real ins and outs of his NFTs, I was very impressed. Not because, for a lot of reasons, let's say, but it was just the right thing. It's just what you have to do.
right,
What you're doing is on point as well. Like, and he needs help like yours, and we're definitely going to. I'm definitely going to have a meeting with both of you, actually, no matter what, because, like I said, community. It's good to grow community. I'm trying to grow. Let's say mixed community with his. I don't want it to be exactly identical. I'd like, for it to be where his community is part of my community is part of his
absolutely.
community, but they don't have to be like, oh, identical.
Well, that's the beauty of it, right? You build your community and you have your followers because you have a certain type of personality and you
They
can
know
trust,
me. They
right,
know me. And they know I'm human.
a certain group of people.
Mhm.
He has a different personality, right, and has a different skill set and attracts another type of groups of people. To quote Alex Jones, I'm just literally retarded.
Was it? Oh my god! I have to go back and look at that one. What was it? It was. a gorilla. Kill the gorilla. So, sorry. I'm sorry, you too.
But I think, or I'd like to think that my utility and my skill sets come from reassessing what people do and putting them on the proper channels, innovating a framework. That's where my skill set lies. I'm very militant in, in my approaches when it comes to pushing progress forward.
Yeah, like you're just incredibly competent, in my opinion. You're amazingly competent to the point where when you're not doing well, it's literally just because you're not in the context like you are. To me, it seems like what's the word? Like rigged for management, upper management, essentially, because you know how things work and you kind of see it, in my opinion, like a system. You see it like a system immediately, and you sort of know how things fit together, like off the top of your head, and that's what most people are missing, actually. Especially, well, unfortunately, the people that were teaching us had us on rails to nowhere, and the people who finished those rails, they're nowhere. And then there's, even if they have the strength and wherewithal to create something and become entrepreneur of some sort, they still are actually up a creek without a paddle, without two paddles sometimes because they're in debt. They're in so much debt that it is what it is. And in the real world, nobody hands you no one hands you property, to be honest with you. They'll give you a job if they can exploit you, especially terrible people. A lot of the ones that won't completely exploit you, they don't have the resources to give you, what you need anyway. Like you could find a good, let's say, restaurant owner, and a restaurant's bottom line isn't that high, especially nowadays. So it's like most people are up a creek without a paddle of some level or another, and because they've been taught in this very sterile environment that wasn't totally honest, and meanwhile the real world has become increasingly fast-paced, and when it is cutthroat, it's incredibly cutthroat. If you give your money to one of these crypto scams, not a even a bullshit crypto, literally you can make money off those things. I mean, a scam, nobody's gonna help you. It's just gonna vanish into thin air. We've had scammers forever. So I'm just saying, like, you seem too good to be true. You're like what Apple pretends to be.
I appreciate it, and part of having a good, resourceful network is being able to defer to the people that can fill your holes. Which they're not taught. Come on. Everyone has inadequate skill sets because we're not computers, and we have to, we have to do that. Right? Like you can't be in charge, and I think this is why the solopreneur fails. If you want to talk about entrepreneurship, I know a few people like fight the good fight, and I wish there was more of it. But
a big tell the truth about how the fight goes.
But the big reason why a lot of these, prospective startups fail is it's one person who's the head of marketing, the head of VP, the head of projects. And I mean, I was that person, right? There's literally nothing you can ask me that I haven't had experience in doing.
Yeah.
But I'm not.
But you can't be that person unless you have like some sort of dynamo property that you can carry with you.
Right. I can't do marketing, right? Like that's just not in my skill set. I can network, I can rep a product, I can talk about the product, right? So those aspects of marketing, sure. But in terms of outreach and right. And that's fine, right? And that's why, I do.
Yeah. That's why people get employed, and that's why you can actually have like people on board that you employ, but they're actually upper management. And there's a difference because someone needs to really focus on it and not just be paid to like, oh, do this, and do that. Like there's actually a system to all of this that we act like never existed. We act like this wasn't originally organic. And that's, I think, what kills it, what kills it completely. Like, and it's like people want to choose between cold and inorganic or warm and useless.
Yeah.
You know, like, and it's like really, without the warmth, there's no reason to do it. And yeah, so really, this idea, like, it was to me, and I guess we're getting into something mildly political, but it seems like there's been sort of a soft push to make people less um, motivated to work. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yes.
yeah, like don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I grew up with a perfect culture or what have you, but you know, to be a cool kid, quote unquote, whether or not the cool kid was always nice or not, you you wanted to be someone capable of something, and if that took work to do, you were still the cool kid,
Yes.
whether or not it took work or not. And it used to actually not be cool to be like so rich that someone's taking care of everything for you, you know, and it wasn't even a symptom of being rich. You would see that it was how people were being raised. Like there would be people who were better off than some people. It's like, no, but I'm not allowed this, and that. And now it's like there's this soft kind of like I'm saying, like they try to dissuade you away from work, and they try to make act like it's for your own good, and you can still be cool. You know, you can still be like on top of the hierarchy or whatever. You know, Jordan Peterson's hierarchy, because for adults, at
So,
least if you're an intelligent person, it's a hierarchy of competence. But you can't have both. You can't have, oh, I don't do anything for myself or for others, and I'm the best and I'm coolest. It's it's not it's not healthy and it's not true.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And, the more reliance there is on the government, the better it is for them because eventually those people will be enslaved, but they'll just enslave the others, and it's funny. This is why democracy is the god that failed. And more people I'm just dropping it.
Well, she's in business. She's not.
You
It's
know.
good. It's spelled. Oh my god. Oh my god. Sorry. Continue. Just. Oh.
But of course it's political. There's a reason why people like you and I believe staunch individualism, right? And if you want to call it egoism, and everyone's like, oh, you're selfish.
With it, not just giving up because you were born and it's imperfect. Like, oh, well,
yeah. And it's up to you, not the government, to create systems where we can improve upon that error. That's it.
Yeah. No. Let's. I just think it sounds hilarious to certain people, but nobody knows what any words mean. Democracy just means that if 2 out of 3 the people in a 3-person room have the worst idea ever, that someone who likes the actual definition of democracy thinks that they should do whatever they voted for, whether it means boiling a boot in like, I don't know, fondue. Like it could be anything. Democracy literally means absolutely nothing. It depends on context. And historically, philosophically, democracy is really looked down upon as kind of an expedient way of people to take advantage of large groups of idiots.
Right. So we can't assume, we can't say, yes, the tragedy of the commons exist. And we all know that's true. I don't care what social class you are, I don't care what race, what creed you believe in. The tragedy of the masses exists. That is a given in life, right? This is why most people don't want to do this project either. That's given. And you could say that, oh, well, if that exists, but then we can't have an oligarchy and Plato was wrong, for example, in this case. No, it doesn't work that way. There are people with different IQs. And if you have a high IQ, you can innovate a system that does better. You should strive for that system. And, bringing it back to crypto, I think, someone much smarter than a lot of people I know made this interesting new currency, ran with it, and here we are in 2020.
Yeah, yeah,
But I mean, he foresaw the markers.
yeah.
Like we foresaw the inflation because nothing is really free.
I saw Steven post something the other day, and it was pretty on point. And because I was talking to someone else, and basically what? So essentially, there's autism, yes, and autism is definitely there's a large enough portion of the population now that has it, that it's more or less more in the public eye, and people handle it differently. And there's still groups of people that are, believe it or not, curing it through different ways, basically neuroplasticity. And then, for whatever reason, for the reason that we know, there's also the other side, which instead of curing it, they consider any judgment of it to be too judgmental, like any judgment of it as being like a disease of some sort or an ailment, that you're judging people. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that they are really like disabled the way some people are disabled. I know that many of them are super intelligent, more intelligent than me. I'm saying that literally there's a weakness there where they're having trouble communicating, and that's because, well, if you look at it, it's identical to mercury poisoning, which is a neurotoxic. So there seems to be like neurons missing, parts of their neurological structure missing, right? And through neuroplasticity, which there are some things that cause that and create that in your system, you can grow them essentially the way that stem cells sort of work. Your neurons are almost always like that if you give them the right chemistry. So what? So meanwhile, though, these people, these I don't know what to say. They're so sensitive of this thing that they're helping stomp out this medical knowledge. Like, oh, this is just a personality, and maybe this is the next step in human evolution. And it's like, don't get me wrong, I'm all fine. I'm fine with all types of philosophies and theories, and I obviously don't find I don't hold. I have family members with autism, and I have close family members, but they're human beings, and I love them. In fact, it is what it is. What I'm saying is that, yeah, you don't like you hear me, like you're stomping out medicine so that you don't feel sensitive about it. It's like I never insulted anyone. We're all somewhere. I'm not the strongest person on earth. I'm going to try to jog 2 miles after this. It's going to be hilarious when I'm stomping around, dancing, red, sweating in the cold, like a dying animal, like a dying animal
You're
in
going
the
to be
Serengeti.
right, but this is, this is exactly what this is exactly what I mean when I say definitions must be solidified, right? And certain, I mean, you can change the wording of nuance, right? But colloquialism should not be integrated into a dictionary definition,
Makes
right?
a lot of sense.
Yeah. So obesity is a problem, right? Like I have to go to the gym after this because I want to run a 5K with you. And I also don't want to be obese, right? I mean, not that I am, but we all have to work on ourselves. And if a person, but if a person has any sort of neurological disorder, that is exactly what it is, neurological disorder. And whether it's, I don't care if it's autism, I don't care if it's, anything else. We're just using
people with Asperger's that are geniuses, sheer like.
well, are certainly are one of my favorite, I guess, modern composers. Can't do anything else, and he can play Paganini's Flight of the Bumblebee, which is one of my favorite pieces. Just almost probably better than Paganini could, and he's autistic. That's what I mean because and skill us.
Yeah, and they're amazing people, exactly. And
Right.
you admire them and you love them, but meanwhile you still catch them struggling to communicate sometimes, and they're sad that they're.
And that's where, right, and that's where we come in and we help them.
Yeah, but if you pretend that's not real, you're invalidating their lives. Like
Right.
that's all. Like pretending that like, oh no, this is totally no. It's like legit. When after my mom, I'm gonna be not totally normal. I'm gonna be fucking panting my ass off, and I'm gonna be tired as hell. And yeah, it's okay if people notice that. If people notice that I suck ass at running, and because I have not run in a long time, because it is true,
Uh-huh.
and those same people, not those same people, there are also people that when I'm very good at something are confused. Like, what? Like nobody's good at this. So everybody's got their weird culture shock thing going on. And I'm
Yeah.
just so tired of giving a fuck. I just don't give a fucking wrong.
Yeah.
I really, things need to get done. It's not me condescending to their sensibilities, but, people exist for what they exist for, and it's not necessarily to please people with their existence. There's more important things than being pleased, and we should be glad that there are. There's you know friends and family, and I had a conversation with someone who works here recently, and I said something, and I realized how profound it was. Like you can't really love without loving the imperfections. If you only love something for when it's convenient, essentially you're not loving it at all. But we've become intolerant, and so we're no longer loving. You can't do both. Um, that's it. I thought it was profound. I guess it's just normal thinking. Um,
It's both, you know. That's
that's
the
good.
thing. The
That's the
more
best.
we accept people with these types of disorders and say, oh, that's normal, the less we deviate from a standard. And this is why it's important, as we were saying earlier, to build up different communities because we all can fill each other's gaps.
Yeah.
And or if we really want to be existential voids. But also understand that if there's a problem, right? If there's a systematic problem, right, in AI or in code or anything, we're like, okay, well, this can't function because it's missing, this line of code or this is incorrect or fuck, it's not even plugged in, right? So it can't work. That's how people are. And I think this new era that is being ushered in is definitely going to be something worth exploring. And
Yeah. Bless you.
thank you. It's going to be it's going to be interesting how we all deal or how we all see how other people deal with the flaws and the integrations of this new system. I don't think it's gonna. I don't know if it's gonna work seamlessly, but the point of a revolution is not to bring everyone forward. It is to separate the strong from the weak.
Well, we're at that point now, and people think that people seem to think that it's social. Like, because I can't work with my cousins, let's say, who uh, who go through things, that I'm going to abandon them in some, and because I'm not ready for everything that person's going to start me or something. It's like really, 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 there's so much going on that actually matters, and it really looks like people are trying to distract people and make them devalue their own lives. Because we're really all different and all imperfect, and they have us comparing ourselves to two-dimensional ideas.
Yeah.
And even this thing, so why do they idolize these people? Well, they idolize these people because they have trouble communicating emotion. And because they have trouble communicating emotion, then we imagine, oh, they must not have those things.
Yep.
And like I said, every once in a while you see, like, no, they're just alone with that forever.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like, holy shit, holy hell. So, that's all. Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, all I can do is do my best. But pretending is, like, it's not going to work. That's all.
That's
It actually leaves them in the pit. Like, I'm actually, if I am to treat these people like children, I'm going to help the child out of the pit, right? I'm not going to leave it and be like, well, playhouse down there. I'd like that child to grow up and have a house.
I will say this, we're going to see a lot of pits, we're going to see a lot of houses, and we're going to see a lot of mansions. And, the way the system is, It's to keep the people with the mansions and the people and the kids in the pits. But maybe we can, create some sort of different change there. And honestly, that's all I'm kind of hoping to do with my companies. Let me help you because I have the insights that you might not.
Yeah, I feel like you'd actually work pretty well with autistic people. I'm sure you have before, to be honest. With
I mean, so fun fact: everyone in the well, all the men in the liberty movement are autistic.
I knew it.
I mean, it's the other.
I hope I have two of those genes.
But also, I mean, so I've written curriculums, and I have. So it's funny, like when I worked with Human, I was tasked with this great opportunity. I didn't think it was a great opportunity. It was bloody awful because I was so young to develop a curriculum for a student who had autism. She was older than I was at the time, but her learning was stunted to be at like a third or fourth grade level. So say she was 18, right? 18 or 20, whatever it was, and she was doing math for the third or fourth grade. And she didn't really go forward. And it was my job to figure out why.
That must be hard.
And there was some sort of miscommunication in her brain with numbers, and she couldn't identify certain types of numbers. So we just, spacing matters. But again, this is all part of curriculum building. And then, I said, oh, well, I'm really good at this because I was so young, definitely was not paid what I deserved to be paid. But taking these particular skills, because this was my first time, and this is a learning environment, and transferring them into, the next echelon, and let's say in terms of not just education, but business frameworking, right? Identifying the problem. And when I got my black belt in Lean Sigma 6, I'm like, oh, this is so fucking easy because, this is so simple because, well, I've done this before. And yeah, the topic is different, but the thought process is the same. And that's what we don't understand, right? We can't take our current thought process and put it, and parse it into other aspects of life, which is why I think people overcomplicate things. Guys, it's not that hard.
Yeah. Well, I also feel like people that are insecure enough, like, okay, it is a slippery slope where it's like, okay, like, there are little things that I'll do, when I'm in a bad place, especially the little things where it's like, fuck, and I don't care anymore, and blah, 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 right? But then I see people do things with these giant important parts of their lives, right? And it's not just with those giant important things. They'll do it with everything up until that. And you can tell that there's only, like, there's a few things that are very, very, very super duper important to them that they don't do that with.
Yeah.
But I still wonder how they got to the point where they don't give a fuck about so much. I don't even know how I got here. Um, yeah, I have no idea how that thought process started.
You have no idea how we what?
How they got to the point where there are people who basically, because, see, I know how I got here. Because we're talking about how people are kind of self-conscious. They're self-conscious about status, right? And it's like, don't get me wrong, status is kind of this inevitable judge. And it's a harsh judge, and it's a true judge. So I understand why people are afraid to a degree, especially young people who have not even gone through puberty and don't even know kind of what it is to be judged in that kind of whole way. But no matter what, you have a shortcoming, like you said, and you are judged in that harshest way, and we all go through it no matter what. There's no hiding from it. There's nothing. It's impossible. 100%. So it makes me wonder how someone can make an action that to me seems like an act of self consciousness that you kind of do when you want to be off the hook, and it's not that important anyway. You know? So you just go, oh, fuck it. I don't care anymore. Why am I trying so hard for this? This doesn't matter, you know?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not the smartest, the best thing to do, but you do. You do it anyway because it doesn't matter that much. And then you see people doing this with, like, their would be careers, there would be family. Uh, and it actually, I don't even know how to describe how it affects me. I can't comment on it because it's not my shit to value,
Mhm.
but I do wonder. I do wonder how it came to that and what made them so nihilistic. That is like, well, someone already pissed in my lemonade, so you know that's it. It's piss. Like, because really, the whole world isn't that fucked up, and there are people who do have it much, much worse than you mathematically, who are much, much happier. And I'm not saying that your standards should lower. It's not even that, but believe it or not, the people who, and that's why they get mad. That's why people get mad, because you'll see someone, they'll see me, for instance, and they'll be like, "Oh, this person's nice. This guy seems really laid back, you know, or whatever it is. Like, this person communicates very well. You know, oh, he must not have much going for him. It's one or the other, you know." And then if I like, no, because I kind of try to be nice and stick around nice things, I've taken the time to work on nice things, and people know that I'm about nice. So you know, it's kind of it's not a sacrifice. I sacrificed everything else for the nice. So it's actually like I still have to make hard decisions all the fucking time, and I try to make the decision that will end the nicest for everybody. You know, and
Right.
it's still a harsh ass decision. Like I end up having to make harsh decisions with nice things, which kind of makes it more fucked up. You know, let alone, and that's why sometimes I'll say I'm not nice. I'm just easier to talk to because I'll mention it because I'm not a liar. However, what I'm trying to say is people seem to think that there's this system where you have to be incredibly cutthroat and have absolutely no real like wants and needs,
Yeah.
and that way you become this fully kind of mechanical AI system that will take advantage of the wants and needs people, right?
Yeah.
And meanwhile, that's just an incomplete person, and that's why people go crazy. You inevitably have wants and needs, and you inevitably think for yourself and notice things. So there's no perfect slave, there's no perfect predator,
Right.
and we just sort of have these things separated in our minds because we come from feudalism.
This is my favorite criticism.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. This is how me and Rose always end up talking. Letting people into our world.
And honestly, this is like that, when I hear that, I'm like, okay, Chris has finished and finalized his point, and this is very accurate, it's a fair point. And I'm like, okay, this is how I know where this conversation's done and we will
Yeah,
talk
yes, that's true. That's good. I like this. I like this. I like this. And it ended with smiles and happiness, and someone is watching, apparently. And more people will see it. And I might come back depending on what Steven tells me. I might have Marvin too, but Marvin seems to not want to appear on screen, at least for now.
Okay.
Yeah, but it was great talking to you. And active articulation is how you get this person's help actively articulating what you need done. And you can see she's a genius. She can actually work with anybody. She just honestly, she can work with anybody. There's nothing to it. It's just me. I need to do better for her. Um, and then there's the other one. She's got Gaia Coin, and Gaia Coin is Gaia Coin. You heard what it is. It's essentially a way that crypto is going to help. Well, sorry. Gaia Coin is a way to help the crypto market merge with the actual market.
convert into the crypto sphere. That's it.
Say that one more time.
Convert into the crypto sphere. That's really all it is.
That's genius. Oh, and that's so I can. Oh, sorry, let me not share too many of my secrets, but I just thought of a great thing.
Perfect. Thanks for having me. Would love to, do this with you anytime.
Cool.
And I hope everyone who's listening had some information and found it informative.
Yeah, so like and subscribe, and maybe I'll even show you guys Josh today, because Josh, not today, tomorrow, because Josh is coming through to film tomorrow, and Morgan will be there too. But here's what it is. I know he doesn't necessarily want to be on screen, but maybe I'll come back tomorrow, guys. Okay? And thanks for meeting us today, and thanks for seeing me, Rose. Have a good evening, guys. Bye bye.
Bye.
Okay. Close and stream. And we're still here, but we're just not streaming anymore.